Hello, my name is Umayberke Oğur. My presentation is about Arthurian legends, and I'm going to talk about some of them in my presentation. There is always a legendary king behind the successful kingdoms. One of the most legendary kings in the world history is King Arthur. It can be found two different Arthurs in British history. An Arthur who was the Wales prince and died at the end of the 15th century is not the legend and famous one. On the other hand, the other Arthur who was the king is more legendary. The name of Arthur is first encountered in early Celtic folk poetry, dated back to the 6th century. Nennius, one of the first Welsh historians to live in the 8th century, is the first person to mention Arthur in the Historia Britonum. Originating from a mixture of Celtic and Roman personalities, the name Arthur was combined with leadership and heroism. Besides, there are a lot of different legends named after the legendary British King Arthur. Three of the most important Arthurian legends are Excalibur, Merlin, and Knights of the Round Table. The first of Arthurian legends is Excalibur in this presentation. Excalibur is King Arthur's mythical sword, often related to magical effects or Great Britain's legal supremacy. Even though Excalibur and the sword in the stone are often said to be the same sword, they are counted diverse in most versions. For example, in Welsh, the sword is called Celtwulf, which is a compound of Celt, this means heart, and Wulf, this means breach or cleft. Actually, the sword was originally introduced as Caliburnus by other authors, but then Celtwulf was immortalized in the History of the Kings of Britain by Geoffrey of Monmouth. After that, this sword became Excalibur in old French sources. Excalibur is a powerful weapon in the hands of a qualified warrior. Furthermore, along with many other magical or powerful swords in myth or mythology, Excalibur has been identified with a single hero, and it shouldn't be allowed to fall into the hands of enemy because of its power. King Arthur died after his battle with Sir Mordred, who is son of Arthur. Before Arthur died, he had asked his knight to return the sword to the Lady of Lake. In this part, there are several different legends of the sword's return. For example, in the Conte de Graal poem, King Arthur gave Excalibur to Sir Bedivere, and in his third attempt, he could throw the sword into the lake. The reason Arthur wanted the sword to be thrown into the lake is that it must eventually be given to the Lady of Lake. Additionally, in Vulgate cycle and post-Vulgate cycle, King Arthur gave the sword to Sir Gawain. Later, Sir Gawain gave his sword to Arthur for his final battle with Sir Mordred. Afterward, Sir Gawain gave the sword to the Lady of Lake at King Arthur's request. The differences between the two stories are that while in the second story, Sir Gawain delivered the sword. In the first story, the person who given the sword was Sir Bedivere. Moreover, in the second story, other knights apart from King Arthur were able to use the sword. Yet, according to the first story, no other person except for King Arthur could use the Excalibur. Another important Arthurian legend is Merlin. The story of Merlin is interrelated with King Arthur. People say that King Arthur is able to lead wisely and fairly thanks to the guidance of the famous magician, Merlin. Moreover, when Arthur was very young, with the help of Merlin, he was able to remove the sword out of the rock. And in this way, he became the great king of Britain. Arthur later founded the castle named Camelot and led it under the guidance of the Merlin. Besides, the classic legend recounts that Merlin was deeply in love with a young woman when he was an old man. Merlin taught this woman all the secrets of his spells in exchange for being his lover. Furthermore, he built a lakeside palace for the woman and named her as the Lady of Lake. As time passed and the woman learned of Merlin's malignant origins, she became afraid of Merlin. Merlin taught the woman to imprison someone. Later, the Lady of Lake imprisoned him in a crystal cage, because the only aim of the woman is learning all the magic from Merlin. She could get in and out of the cage, but Merlin couldn't. The legend says that Merlin was there forever and is still waiting for someone to release him. The last of the Arthurian legends is Knights of the Round Table in this presentation. Every knight has their own places in the round table, made by the magician Merlin. The foundations of the spirit of compromise were laid by Knights of the Round Table. Additionally, the number of knights sitting at the table is 12 or 24. When 24 people sit at the table, the 12 signs of the zodiac divide into two, light and dark. This division represents the night and day phases of the signs. There is a rose in the middle of the table. This rose symbolizes resurrection from the dead. There is also a mysterious empty seat called Siege Perilous, in which no one but the person who succeeded in the search for the Holy Grail can sit. According to sources about the life of Jesus Christ, it is believed that Jesus used the Holy Grail as a magic stone. Besides, the Grail is a symbol of spiritual illumination. Furthermore, since the table is round, the seating arrangement is equal for every knight. The most famous knights at the table are Sir Lancelot, Sir Gawain, Sir Tristan, Sir Galahad, and Sir Percival. The knighthood laws of the Knights of the Round Table are described as follows: not to bully or murder, to avoid treason, not to be cruel in any way, but to show mercy to those who seek mercy. Always come to the rescue of ladies and widows. Never to bully women, ladies and widows. Not to take part in wars for wrong purposes, such as love and worldly property. As a result, Excalibur, Merlin, and Knights of the Round Table are some of the most important Arthurian legends, as we can see these in this presentation. As for the greatest King Arthur, according to some historians, it is said that Arthur received a fatal blow from Sir Mordred, just as he was about to deal the final sword blow to his son. Arthur was living his last moments. While dying, as his last request, he asked his knight to take Excalibur and throw it into the lake. Arthur was dead now. The Round Table knights scattered. King Arthur, who suffered many difficulties during his death and his lifetime, will be remembered all the time. In the worldly sense, Arthur is the grand master of philosophical mystics who call themselves the knights. He has won the battle between soul and body, and he is renewed by the ancient spiritual teaching. He has an enlightened mind. The reason Arthur deserves to be the grand master of these knights is that he pulled his sword, which means soul, out of the stone, which means evil soul. Lastly, we can say that for great King of Britain, virtuous and enlightened people will bring heaven to earth instead of going to heaven. Thank you for listening to me. This is ending my presentation.